All right, well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have each and every one of you here with us today. Today is August 30th. Can you believe it's the end of August? It's August 30th, 2022. This is episode number 171, and today we're going to take a look at trait number 40. So we're going to be exploring the love of work. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Of course, before we get started, let's say hello to our panel. Shelley, unfortunately, is not feeling very well, so she is taking care of herself. But we do have the lovely Anique with us once again. She is going to be starting the foundation course coming up here real soon. We have a webinar that she's going to be presenting on Thursday, which we'll also introduce. And so it is such an honor, Anique, to have you join us. Anique is also an evaluator as well. Makes it even more special. We have a classic builder, we have an evaluator, and we have an innovator. What a great panel. So Anique, welcome.
Thank you so much, Karen, for having me. Again, a great honor. I enjoyed last week's BG5 live so much, so I'm very glad to be back. And honestly, I'd love to be here more regularly. And so therefore, thank you for having me.
Yes, it is great to have you join us. And of course, our beautiful Anna. Welcome, Anna. Great to have you here.
Hi, I'm delighted to be here. And yes, it is a privilege and really fun to be on the panel. Yeah, thanks.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Anna. And thank you all of you who are here live in our Zoom room. Again, today we're going to be talking about trait 40. So if you have trait 40 in your design, or if you have trait 37, which is on the opposite side of 40, we would love to hear from you today. So when we get to that point, we just raise your hand or shout out right in the chat, and we would love to hear from you also. All right. Well, before we dive in, I want to have Anique is delivering a webinar, a free webinar on Thursday, September 1st at 9 a.m. Pacific. It's called One Size Does Not Fit All. I would love for you to share with us a little bit, Anique, about what your webinar is all about. And also, once you explain it, if you can also put in the link where people can register as well.
I will absolutely put in the link after I've finished my introduction to my webinar on Thursday. We just spoke a little bit about it before we entered the room. And it's not only an honor, but also something that's really something I was thinking about since at least a couple of months, because leadership changes and career path change, with all challenging times we have at the moment, people struggling with, I don't know, I see so many successful entrepreneurs outside. Everyone can do it. Everyone can be this and that. No, it's not true. We're all unique. And the idea is to show you how unique we are and what specific skills and attributes we would find in our BG5 chart, and how we recognize what is the best way we can operate and be aligned with our true self. And from my unique and personal perspective, also, everyone can be a leader or not. Everyone can be a team B or not. What do we see? What do we recognize? And I would just invite everyone who's keen on understanding more about personal career path and what career is all about, what is success all about. I mean, it's totally individual. And so I would be happy to welcome you on Thursday and tell you about how I see it, how I have experienced it. I had a totally successful career. Many people told me, "Oh, Nick, that's unbelievable what you did." I said, I'm an evaluator, so I'm not a natural born leader. However, my public role is a 4-6. So by looks of it, there is leader in the overall imprint. But how do we tie this all together? And this is what I'm trying to do on Thursday, to give you my view and to invite you on how we look at it.
Beautiful. Well, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to your unique perspective, and invite everyone to join us as well. And Anique, just put in the link down below. And if you're watching via the recording, we'll make sure that the link is also there underneath the recording also. Beautiful. Well, we have come to the end of August. Again, we've been focused on purpose fulfilled through bonding, really connecting with others. We took a look at, after reflection, the ability to successfully lead others into the future through logic, perseverance, connection, and hard work. We took a look at retreat. We took a look at the leader. We took a look at formalization. We took a look at perseverance. And we took a look at, last week, achieving union. And so what we're going to take a look at today, and which we'll be experiencing this week, is deliverance. This is 40. This is the power of the will to deliver. This is all about the love of work. Now, one of the things that we talked about last week is that we are actually on this precipice, if you will, of changing from the era of planning into the era of the individual. And this is one of the elements that is also switching, which is also transitioning. So moving from deliverance in the 40 to achieving union in the 59 that we took a look at last week. So if we take a look at where that shows up, it is, in a sense, the temple. When we take a look at the 46, it is the love of the body. It is also, in a sense, how we work, and in a sense, what we give reverence to. And so in the era of planning, it was really about working really hard so we can rest, especially in the last since 1960s. We've been in this era of planning with the flavor of working really hard so we can rest. So if you take a look at, again, we work really hard during the week so we can get the weekend off. We work really hard throughout our lifetime so that we can retire and we can finally rest. Right? So we see that pattern in work. And it's about recuperation. It's the ability to relax and enjoy the fruits of one's labor. And again, it's working for the weekend. This, again, is the love of work. But it's also aloneness in work as well. Where we are moving to, however, is the era of the individual. And let's take a look at how different it's really going to be. Because again, we're going to talk about the era of planning, the 40 today. We took a look at last week, this 59, about breaking down barriers to achieve union. So instead of working alone, working really hard so we can relax, it really is about temporary union with the 59 in quality 6. So it's the power for intimacy regardless of conditions. So it really is working for deep connection that really becomes important. So it's, in a sense, moving from the love of work to the love of connection. And oftentimes, the work will be something that one of the reasons why we work, or one of the reasons why we do something, is really more about the connections that we have, more than, being alone and trying to get a paycheck and working really hard so we can rest. So you can see it's completely different. And so again, as we move into this new era, it's going to be a little disorienting. There's going to be a little bit of chaos and confusion in adjusting to what this is. But this is really finding those people, finding your own tribe, finding the people that have your own values and purpose, and doing something, if you will, together that's bigger than you, that you can really enjoy doing together. And, one of the things that I love about BG5 and the BG5 Institute is, the possibility of being able to really work together and support each other, and, have this system that we can, see how things are shifting and changing. So just wanted to share that so that you can kind of keep that in mind. Again, as we were, the major shift, we're right in the middle of it right now, and we'll be fully moved into it into 2027. So you can see we're halfway through that 7-year cycle. So pretty exciting. And again, very, very different, right? Working alone so we can rest versus this temporary union and connecting and working with these deep connections. All right. So let's dive in to today's theme. One of the things that I find really interesting is on Monday here in the United States, the first Monday of September is called Labor Day here in the United States. So happy Labor Day to everyone who's in the United States. This is usually the holiday that divides, summer from going back to work. But what's interesting is that Labor Day happens to fall during Trait 40. I just find that really fascinating, where we're celebrating. Labor Day is really celebrating the worker, celebrating work. And so I find it quite appropriate that it happens to fall when we are in Trait 40. So let's take a look at what Trait 40 is all about. Again, it's about deliverance. It's about aloneness, and it's the power of will to deliver. It really is, in a sense, the love of work. This is the point of transition between struggle and liberation. This is the survival of the community, and the survival of the community is dependent on a sustained and strong will. If you will, all of the energy that ultimately gets expressed through tribal leadership, it has to move either through the 40 or through the 26, which is interesting. If we take a look at OC16 in larger organizations, we can take a look at the 40 sort of being the foreman and the work that needs to be done. We can take a look at the 26 on this other side. So we have the 40, we have the 26, which is all about sales and marketing. So this is really about supply and demand, right? 26 creates the supply, 40 creates the demand, and the 21 manages and balances everything. When involved in work that is right for you, you derive great satisfaction by delivering what you've promised to those that appreciate you. And any bargain made to deliver resources for your community needs to be renegotiated often to keep it crystal clear and fair. This is also the strength of the bargain. It is also the strength of negotiations. And especially someone who has this particular strength, bargains are very important. And if you break that bargain, that's where someone can be very upset as well. And again, it also represents the foreman. So it's important to balance work and rest, right? So if you're working all the time, you can end up burning yourself out, right? But you need that balance also between work and community. It's almost like work and home. We have the 40 of work. We have the 37 on the other side of family, and together it creates the strength of community. And so community is made up of work and work being done, as well as the family and friends and community. So in many respects, it's almost like sacrificing yourself or working alone for the good of the tribe. So this is what 40 is all about. And this is what we've been in for the past 400 years. So again, this is something that we're very used to when it comes to work. And again, we can also see how it's shifting in a very major way. So I would love to hear first from Anik and then Anna. What do you see within Deliverance? I know, Anna, you have this strength. I'd like to hear from Anik first, who doesn't have the strength, but first just seeing the overall picture of what this trait and what this strength is all about. One of the reasons I'm talking about the strength is because you can see it also is one of those traits that creates definition, because the 37 is actually what grounds the 40. So yes, Anik.
Well, thank you, Karen, for giving me the opportunity to talk about it, because interestingly enough, just during the last 6 to 12 months, so many people came into my life with that specific strength, and I find it a so warm quality. I can feel those people whenever they enter the room. I can feel they make a difference, and I love because I don't have anything there, it doesn't bother me. So there's no compromise or anything for me. So I just can enjoy it. And I can feel the warmth, and I can feel a very clear position, because it's all about give and take. And so they're crystal clear about how far you can take it within the community, and where you would say, okay, that's enough. It's about give and take. This is how we do it. And so from my perspective, a strength that is so great to observe and to feel. And I can feel, oh, I don't know. I'm wondering why I'm coming across so many people right now as we end this era, to feel this energy again. Maybe I need to take it into 2027 in my heart, in my overall unique perspective. I don't know, but it's very impressive. People that have 3740 impress me. I like it. I like it a lot. And feeling the willpower is something, an authentic willpower is something that impresses me. And so therefore I'm very grateful, and I'm very into those people at the moment that have this strength or trait, mainly into the people that have the complete strength. This is where I can feel it. And it starts when they hug me. It makes a total difference to me.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
very interesting for me as well. This is a strength that I don't have personally, but I feel like I'm very conditioned by this particular strength. And I have a tendency to attract a lot of people who have this particular strength. My dad had this strength, so that's part of why I think I was very conditioned by this strength. My husband has this strength. Shelley has the strength. Anna has the strength. Uh, Linda Bonnell has this strength. A lot of my friends have this strength. So it's very interesting that, again, this is a strength that I have a tendency to attract and also be very conditioned by as well. So even though I don't have it myself, it has a huge impact in my life. And speaking of having it, we have Anna. So Anna, I would love to hear from you. You not only have the 40, but you also have the 37 on the other side. So you do have this strength of community.
Yes. So interesting, Anik, when you said you feel them when they hug you, because this is about contact. This is about a certain way of interacting, relating, connecting. Yeah, this is a very big part of my my life in all ways. And I think it's interesting what you just said, Karen, about all these people in your life with that strength, because you're in the world of work. I mean, that's what you're doing with BG5, is helping people work well, work in the right way, the right place, the right time, all of that stuff. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, this is a big thing for me as a strength. As far as the 40, well, let me back up for a minute. With this beginning slide of the transition between the 40 and the 59, the shift that's taking place energetically, I think it's really interesting that with the COVID and all that stuff, a lot of people went home alone and they loved it. Some people loved it. Some people felt completely isolated, out of contact. But this whole thing of recuperation, especially the one, I have the 41 and the 45, this need to rest, this years, decades, centuries of pushing, pursuing, willing, moving, industry, whole huge energies, and then needing to rest. And there's some shadow around not letting people rest, or working to death, or overworking, or workaholic, that whole thing, as a way to try to get ahead versus being present. I think there was a lot of pressure from various conditions to accumulate wealth by working hard, by efforting, and people's inner process, when they began to move into contemplation or being alone or whatever it is, they started reevaluating this. And you can see it over the last 60s, like you said, 70s, 80s, people sort of questioning this whole way we work. And then boom, Anik, when you were talking about the end of the cycle, at the end of a cycle, things get more intense. And
Mm.
so this gets more energy. And so people get to feel it or see it or talk about it or whatever. So it's really big in our field right now, this transition between the work hard, rest, and then recently, just in the last couple days, it's amazing to me. I've been in conversation with 3 different groups, and they're all talking about this, how to form a team that's connected.
Mm.
Not so much to make money, not so much to get wealth or all the physical comforts, not to eliminate them, but that's not the the energy behind it. Is let's do something creative. Let's, are we a good team? Looking at the penta, looking at partnerships, and this whole energy of, do we work together? Are we confident? Do we have this same vision? And even somebody was describing, these coordinates that work in a cooperative or collaborative environment. And that's what the era we're moving into, is this whole level of connecting as unique people, being able to contribute as a unique person in this whole version. And Anik, when you're talking about your presentation coming, about, it's not one size fits all anymore. It's uniqueness and the union with other people, how we fit. And sorry, I'm going on and on, but the other part of this is in the 40, if we go back to the 40, I love to work. I love to be productive. And yet I had a whole, let's see, how would I say it? I have the 2, is a hermit, even though it's talented. I have the 40, I have the 33, which is also a gate of aloneness, and I'm an innovator. So I have this very strong need to retreat and not be productive in the classic way, as in doing, but more letting things emerge as they sort of self-regulate, self-organize. And I think the 40 is really important about that, when you let yourself be alone, which is different than isolation, but just taking alone time to regroup, reassess. It can be having a cup of tea, or it can be going sailing, or around the world, whatever it is. But this time to let your body regroup, let your the cells of your body, the level of what it's telling you, to reconnect with what it's telling you. That's really, to me, what the deliverance is. Because if you're out of energy, if you're out of focus, if you're not with the right community, it is a struggle versus liberating and feeling alive. And one more point, in the whole movement of regenerative business, regenerative projects, this whole sense of being alive, staying alive, thriving through being alive, not through having all these houses or cars or whatever the stuff is, but this same thing, to the regenerative energy is really building. You hear it a lot now, or I do, because I'm interested in it. But that whole energy is part of the shift that we're going into with the 59, but it requires being alone, having your yoga time, or walking the dog, or something like that. So this is still going to be this balance in order to deliver.
Yeah, exactly. And if we take a look at willpower, now willpower is what we call a motor function, meaning that it does have energy, but it's not like the generative power of the builder. It's not a go, 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 go energy. It is an energy, kind of like the heartbeat, boom, 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 boom. It's there and then it's not. And so there really needs to be this balance between work and rest. Beautiful. So if any of you have the 40, we would also love to hear from you. Yes, Rebecca.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi. I have this 3 times. I have the 40.2, 3 and 4.
Wow.
And so I'm no surprise when you say this is who you attract. But anyway, so lots of thoughts. It seems as though so if I think about it, my grandfather worked 2 jobs. He was a full-time teacher and then he was a farmer. And so every day after work, he'd go out. After working as a teacher, he'd go out and farm. And he always took Sundays off. So that was his balance. This was his way of kind of managing the balance. But what was really interesting is that 64, he had a heart attack. And it's so funny because my family always buying into the myth of, family history on medical issues. They all think that they have heart issues now, but I look at it and go, my grandfather worked 2 jobs and it was too much. He wasn't enough rest. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is over the last few decades, companies, it used to be that if you worked for a company, they always took care of you. They took care of you kind of from the time you started working all the way through retirement. You got a gold watch at the end of it, and they really took care of you. And then slowly they've been renegotiating that bargain without kind of telling their employees. They have just said, no, we're not going to be that. We're not going to be that. And so the loyalty has slowly been moving away from believing that the company's going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's anyway, so I just find this, and so, and now it's become really clear because a lot of companies, they all found out that their employees could work from home during COVID because they were all forced to, and now the employees want to stay home, and companies think that they're going to go back to normal. We talked about this last week also. The companies think they're going back to normal and they can force everybody back into the office. And it's not going to work because the bargain has been broken. And anyway, and it's funny because I've never felt the sense of the 9-to-5 job has always grated against my nerves. It's never been something that resonates. I'm a million times happier when not to have all my eggs in one basket, to do a variety of work, of different kinds of work, rather than just working for a company. So anyway, it's I don't know, this is a great conversation. Love of work, but but again, and the love of work is work that's fulfilling. How can I be of service to others, I think is really the takeaway for me. And it's not because I've usually not been in alignment with the corporate vision.
And again, it's been, work for a paycheck. That's the bargain, right? You work really hard and then you get a paycheck, right? But that, like you said, Rebecca, and also with the working at home, a lot of the bargains that have been put into place that we're just used to, and that's the way that work has always operated, they're starting to break down. And, companies are not quite sure what to do. And I think that's part of the brilliance of what BG5 is all about, is being able to reestablish those connections, just like we talked about last week with the 59, so that work is about that connection and no longer in the same way about the bargain. And, like you were saying, Rebecca, too, if you are overworking, because you may have a tendency to be a workaholic, especially if you have that strength of community. I know my father was, and my father also had a heart attack. And again, one of the things that we have to be really careful of is if we're using our defined functions or our defined strengths in unhealthy ways, it can lead to unhealthy aspects within our own bodies as well. So something to really pay attention to. Yes, thank you so much, Rebecca. And let's go to Belinda. Hey, Belinda. I think you should be able to speak now. You may need to click unmute. There we go.
Hey. I'm so excited to be here. And like Rebecca, I had so many reflections, but I'm going to try to be
We're having a hard time hearing you.
I don't know. Hello.
Yeah, it's like you're really, really distant.
Okay, is this better?
It's a little better.
It's okay. I will just write some of my things because I have this computer that I don't know how to fix. This is not my computer.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to write it in the comments, that would be great.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Belinda. It's great to hear your voice.
You too.
And let's go to Lori.
Hello. I don't have the 40, but I have the traits before and after. So I do feel some kind of magnetic field pulls me in. I do resonate with it. But what I thought was interesting is that there's a paradoxical quality to the 40 in that it's one of the traits of aloneness, but it's also part of the strength of community. And it reminded me of what we were speaking about. It sort of dovetails with what we were talking about last week with the 59, that you have to be alone in order to recapture your individuality in order to join with the group. So I was thinking that may be part of the, some of the deeper meaning of the 40, because it seems so the aloneness, so uncommunity. But of course, one has to be alone in order to work, in order to produce for the community. But I thought it's an interesting juxtaposition.
Yes, most definitely. Right. And when we take a look at a lot of the strengths, we can see, in a sense, each trait on either side of the strength are opposites, right? There's a duality there. And when the two strengths come together, when the two traits come together to create a strength, it creates a quantum, it creates something completely different. It's one of the things that we talk about, and what Anik will be talking about in the BG5 Foundation Course is this fundamental binary of the this and that. And even when we take a look at strengths, we have two traits that seem completely opposite. And when they come together in a way that creates something unique and different, which is not this and not that, but it's both at the same time. And again, it's one of the things that we do talk about in the BG5 Foundation Course. It's actually in the first class, so you have the opportunity to attend the first class free. That's also one of the things that you can sign up and check out Anik's class as well. So we'd love to have you join us.
Yes, I will do that. I wonder if it's a little more accentuated in this case because the two traits are opposite each other on the zodiac wheel. And
Yes, they are. And so I think you're correct. It is even more more emphasis there because they are opposite within the wheel as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, great observations. Thank you so much, Lori. Beautiful. All right. So let's take a look at the shadow side. So while we're waiting for Belinda to type in, we'll also take a look at how you get affected when you are connected. So the shadow of trait 40, or if you don't have trait 40, how that can show up. Now, we're specifically looking at if you have trait 37, but you don't have trait 40, right? So we can see that 37 is connected to emotional intelligence. And what is it when you have trait 37 and you don't have trait 40? Again, this can also show up if you don't have trait 40 and you don't have the entire strength. However, it's going to feel more personal, especially if you have the 37. So the shadow of trait 40 is the lack of provisions to distribute and someone to bargain with, right? It's sort of like you're working, but there's, in a sense, no reward for the work because you don't have anybody to, or actually you have, sorry, I did the opposite. Well, you have the 37, so you have community, you have the way of connecting and bonding, but you don't have, in a sense, the work, you don't have the precisions. Part of the 37 of the community and of family is being able to distribute the resources that were produced by the 40, right? And to bargain with them in order to get those resources. So in a sense, you don't have the resources in order to distribute to the community when you don't have trait 40 and you do have trait 37. So the question is, are you good at bringing people together in family and community, but lack the resources that you need? Do you find it hard to bargain because you feel you have nothing to offer? And so the problem is that you have the ability to bring people together in community, but you lack the provisions and the work needed to provide for the tribe. You are often looking for those that can deliver the resources needed so that you have someone to bargain with and also something to distribute. And the solution, once again, is that you really are designed to work with others that can provide the work, that can provide the resources necessary so that you can hold the family and the community and the society together. So this is part of what I was talking about before with this working really hard and, in a sense, sacrificing yourself for the good of the tribe, right? Because the work is there directly to be given to and bargain with those that are in the 37, the family, right? So again, this is the father going off to work traditionally, to make the money to bring home to the family. Again, that's how we've seen it traditionally, and we've also seen that start to break down as well. The 37 is also the fear of traditional roles. And so if you have the 37 and you don't have the 40, there can also be that fear of the traditional roles as well. Beautiful. All right. Do we have anyone that has trait 37 but does not have trait 40? We would love to hear from you. And as you are raising your hands or as you're available, I would like to see from Anna and from Anik's perspective, what do you see, or anything else that has come up as different people have shared about trait 40 and how you see the shadow of trait 40 if you don't have trait 40? Would you like to start, Anik?
Honestly speaking, I don't really, or I haven't come across the shadow aspect of it. This is something I would need to evaluate about and get into more detail, because most of the time I really have people around that have 37, 40, the complete strength. So therefore, I need to figure it out.
Yeah. And it is one of those strengths that is quite prevalent, meaning it is prevalent because, again, it is opposite in the wheel. So anyone born during this time, during this week, if it's your birthday, you have both trait 37 and you have trait 40. So you'll have both. And also that can also show up in your past and future direction. It can also show up in different aspects of life as well. Yeah. Thank you, Anik. And Belinda was saying, I wanted to echo some of what Anna and Rebecca shared, especially around willpower, the love of work and the bargain made to deliver resources. I'm an advisor and I have overused my power for years and have gotten a lot of stuff done. So with the awareness of the need to rest and only use the willpower when aligned, I have had to learn to be hyper vigilant about what is aligned for me and use my willpower and to use my willpower and what is not. A long and interesting journey, and being mindful not to burn myself out. Yeah, so especially if you don't have the energy resource defined, it can be very easy, especially as an evaluator, especially as an advisor, especially as an innovator, to overwork, become a workaholic, be able to, use your energy. But again, you can very easily get burnt out. And again, that can cause physical problems as well, if you are not operating correctly. Beautiful. Thank you, Belinda. And how about for you, Anna?
I have several people in my life that have the 37 and not the 40. One of my kids has the 37, and he works very, very hard, but he does have a community, but he often feels like he lacks that thing that people want. And he's so frustrated, the willpower, he's got defined willpower, but the frustration and the in willpower, you can prove yourself when it's defined. You don't have to prove yourself when it's undefined. But he really wants to prove that he can provide, and he does, he has, but it's not on a continuum. And so it's very, very frustrating. And, the conversations about trying to be healthy with all that defined energy, but without that, the shadow part where you're pushing or demanding or trying to make bargains that don't work. Sometimes they do just naturally, but lots of them don't. So this whole thing about how to get the bargain right when you have the 37 but not the 40. And that's especially what I've noticed with a couple people. They don't know how to set up the bargain very well. And I've noticed in my personal relationships, I have to define what that bargain is. Okay, so you're saying you're going to do this part. Okay, I'm going to do this part. What does that mean? What's that, what are the exact finances or the exact timeline or something like that? So yeah, it could feel like a bottomless pit if you're working and not being able to bring that paycheck back home.
Yeah. And again, part of the shadow is that you think you should, or you think that you have to, and then you end up overworking to try to overcompensate for not having that trait and feeling like you should. And then you can make yourself wrong. You can beat yourself up, trying to figure out why can't I do this? Or when I do this, I end up burning myself out, right? That's part of what the shadow is all about. And Belinda is saying, my ex-husband has the 37 and I have the 37 in Chiron, and my ex-husband really pushed me to connect and create more work opportunities. And again, this is in a sense the bargain as well, where the bargain comes from, and this sense of when you work together, everyone in the tribe is taken care of and the work gets done, right? So the work needs to get done so that the tribe can then be taken care of. Yeah. Beautiful. Do you want to, yeah. Thank you, Belinda. Excellent. Is there anyone else who has the 37, but not the 40? Just curious. Yeah. All right. So let's wrap everything up. So again, it's been an amazing discussion. And again, really taking a look at, especially this week, where you work. And again, you may feel more pressure to get down to work, or you may feel a pressure to be more alone or to deliver something. And again, this is about delivering what you promised. And so this is also, when we take a look at the shadow side of things, again, if you have the 37 and you don't have the 40, you can feel pressure to prove yourself that you can deliver, and often make promises that you end up not being able to keep as well, which then breaks the bargain, which then can lead to, this is a wave that ratchets up, and then can explode. And so this is a very, very strong emotional wave, and it can also leave some damage in the wake, especially if you get somebody really upset who has this particular strength. All right, beautiful. So I would love for our panel to think about, what should people pay attention to this week? And once again, I just wanted to remind you that this Thursday, we would love to have you join us for One Size Does Not Fit All, which Anik is going to be delivering. To find out more, again, there is, I don't know, Anik, if you can post that link once more. Again,
Yeah,
we would
absolutely.
love to have you join us. And again, if you are new to BG5, if you want to find out, do I have the 40? Do I have the 37? What does that all mean? You can check out our, you can get a free chart from our website at the BG5businessinstitute.com. You can also get a report as well. Again, you can watch past episodes in our free resource library, also on YouTube as well. And again, our courses are starting here in September. September is just around the corner, just a couple days away. So would love to have you join us. And again, would love to have you join the BG5 Foundation course. So if you're not able to attend the webinar, but you want to check out the first class free, please join Anik. This is on Monday, and this is also at 9 a.m. Pacific. We would love to have you join us there as well. Well, beautiful. So with our panel, what I would love to hear is, what are some things that people should be aware of? What are some things to pay attention to this week as we are in trait 40 and taking a look at the love of work? So, Anna, would you like to start us off?
Yeah. I would pay attention to the bargains. What agreements are falling away or falling apart? What are the new versions? Because the agreements are cyclical. You know, you do need to upgrade them. Someone was talking about, I think Rebecca was talking about her dad working, and the company's taking care of you, until recently, recent decades where, health insurance was getting compromised, and rewards and all that stuff. So in general, I would recommend just sort of looking at the agreements you've made, and do you need to update them? Or do you need to finish them? And sometimes you can make closure, even if the project isn't done, you can still make an agreement. Oh, well, here's the next phase or something. But I would explore the agreement, because the reward from good work is the ability to relax. And if you have a funky agreement, you can't relax.
Yeah. And that's a really good point. I think during this time of transition, as we're moving out of the era of planning, we're moving into the era of the individual, there's going to be a lot of bargains that we've had in the past to really examine and see which bargains we want to move forward with, which bargains we need to bring to full completion. I love that, Anna. Thank you so very much. Beautiful. How about for you, Rebecca?
Nope, I don't have anything to offer today. Thank you, though.
Yes, well, thank you for your contribution. It's always great to have you join us. Thank you, Rebecca. And Belinda, I don't know if you want to type anything in there. We would love to hear from you. And Lori.
Well, it just seems like it would be a good week to make time to get some work done alone.
Mm.
Also look at who you're negotiating with, but it seems productive to be alone with this energy.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Beautifully said, Lori. So taking a look at getting work done, and again, getting work done alone, and seeing, the working really hard so then you can relax as well. Beautiful. And yeah, Belinda's saying I'll have a new computer next week. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. We would love to hear from you also. All right, Anik, to wrap everything up, what should people be aware of or pay attention to this week as we're in Trait 40?
Well, maybe as we just saw earlier on, we are not only in Trait 40, we have the complete strength, and therefore just feel it, feel the connection, feel being part of a community, being aware of, okay, it's a quality that feels great, and it will go away in a couple of days, but it's great to be part of the community and just connect and see how it feels, what you can learn about it by observing it. And I think everything else was already mentioned about work and aloneness. So just feel the energy out there.
Yeah. And, that's one of the reasons why we do the BG5 Live as well, is because one of the best ways to learn about each of the traits is being aware of the traits that we're being influenced by, that we're being conditioned by in a more global way. So it's a way to understand the trait in a deeper way. It's a way to experience it. It's a way to pay attention to it. So I love that, Anik. Thank you so very much. And again, hope to see all of you on Thursday in Anik's webinar. And then the following, it's the following Monday, you start your classes as well. So would love to have you all join us. Well, it has been an amazing discussion. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to everyone who joined us. And we look forward to seeing you all next week as we move into September. All right, everyone, have a fabulous week, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you next week. Thank you, Karen.
Bye-bye.